Hello, chicos. Hello, chicas. How am I going? Well, good from far, far from good. But slowly and surely, I'm getting on top of this COVID nonsense. So I thought it was mighty time for me to come back at ya with my next video. This was meant to be actually a lesson that I recorded, but in the end, I decided to re-record the content, the part of the content that I want to share with you. So today, we are going to talk about this concept that I like to call the importance of the first mistake. And it is something that, as you will see during the video, is a tricky topic because without a coach, it is very, very tough to pinpoint these little details and understand their importance. Without further ado, let me show you first the game, and then hopefully everything will make more sense. Student is playing behind the white pieces, and we go straight away for the I have no idea what I'm doing opening with black. And yeah, black is doing all the moves that one should not be doing. The dog ears, the bishops before knights, the unguarded bishop pin, like the textbook mistakes all around. And here we are already threatening to win the game with bishop f7 followed by knight e5. But the opponent flukes out with e6. And at this point, I want to show you two things. The first one is that my student, he plays bishop e3, which immediately triggered the alarm bells in my head. But I want to show you, not because I want to spoil it, but on the contrary, I would like to give you context how the game continued. So this is what went down in the next 5-6 moves. There. Yes, I know. There, and there. Right? And so, excuse me, before the student, before we had the lesson with the student, he sent the game to me and made the comment that he blundered an exchange early on, but then the opponent counter-blundered and then he went on to win. That was the message I got before I saw the game. And it's very interesting how differently people tend to see the exact same thing in chess. And how one can be entirely wrong about certain things. Because in my opinion, that whole entire message read as I was doing great and then I blundered an exchange. And when we went through the game, I immediately knew that I was going to hammer this bishop e3 move hard, because I also knew the reason why it was played. So let's talk about bishop e3. So I think that if you have got, I don't know how to put it so that I'm not offending anyone, quality coaching, you receive quality coaching, you are educated chess-wise, your natural gut instinct in a position like this is to play knight c3. Simply because it's knights before bishops, and simply because it's 125% that this knight belongs to c3, whereas the bishop still may or may not go to e3. We will see how it goes, but that's definitely knight c3. Now, in order to violate this natural instinct, it's the same, by the way, like putting pawn on e4 here. Like, if you don't play e4 here, then something is miswired in your chess. I mean, knight c3 might lead to the same because e4 is not stoppable, but you get me, right? Like, you can obtain the center, you should. And if you choose not to do that, that means that you are afraid of something, you are scared of something. Here comes, by the way, another golden nugget from me, because that's the channel where you get these things. I keep on parroting that every time you make a decision in chess based on fear, you have a 90% chance that that's nonsense. And you shouldn't mistake fear for actually recognizing concrete, calculable threats. That's not fear, that's objectivity. Fear is that, ooh, I did not want to allow bishop takes f3 and then double my pawns, which is precisely what my student said, to which I countered, of course, with, why not? Why not? Because we have already gone through, both with students and with you, my beloved viewers, that double pawns are not bad by definition. The same way how isolated pawns are not bad, the same way how the list goes on. It can be bad, it can be good. It varies. And so we went on to, well, I can't castle kingside. And I'm like, why not? Because the king is weak. No, it's not. The shelter of the king has been damaged, admittedly, but to make a king weak, we need an army that actually can get to it. There is zero chance that if I castle here, which by the way I shouldn't be doing, I'm gonna get hurt. And the reason for that is because bishop d6, which you desperately need to be on this diagonal, is always met by e5. Not to mention, by the way, that if we play out a logical sequence like this, very, very clearly, it is actually the black king that is going to get under fire on the king side, not the white one. So by taking this trade on f3 and taking back with the pawn and then castling both kings to short, which by the way, admittedly is a questionable call for both colors, but whatever, just work with me here. We actually increased the disparity between the two kings to our favor. But here comes my next question. Oh, I can't castle short. Oh, okay, and black can? Because let's say that I accept the thesis that now castling kingside is terrible. It's not. But work with me. For the argument's sake. Let's say it's bad. Okay, so is it okay for black to castle kingside? Didn't we just open up a file onto the king? Let's have a look, shall we? Knight f6, queen d2. Rook g1 is a very good move here, by the way. But I don't want to spoil the party. So let's go, queen d2, bishop e7. Boy, I don't have any pass moves. I want to play something utterly nonsensical. a3, castles, rook g1. So could black really castle kingside, or is it ready to resign? You see? So this is how mistakes and false ideas tend to compound. So here white made a very, very, very bad judgment call on the consequences of this, which by the way is wrong in every possible way, because this is a pin. We don't create pins to give them up. We create pins to disable pieces. We usually give up a pin like that if A, we have to, or B, if we get fundamental gains out of them. Neither is the case. 2, strengthens the center. 3, bishop for knight. Like, this is just everything is screaming bad about this idea. And I knew right away, as soon as I saw the game, the student sent it to me before the lesson, right? And I saw it and I went like, right, I know why that was played. And so now you realize that the student and I had a completely different read on what went wrong in this game. And don't get me wrong, I do not want to excuse knight e1. It's a horrible blunder. But that's not where this game started to derail. Not at all. The game started derailing right here when we misevaluated the consequences of this trade. And as a result of that, all the remaining developing moves are tailored to address this non-existing threat. Check this out. Bishop e3, and then we play knight d2. I went like, why didn't we go knight c3? Well, because then my queen can't move. And then if I do, then they take here. So now the same false, bad mentality keeps on going on a constant repeat. And the quality of our moves gradually keep on dropping. Like now it's getting worse and worse. By the way, if that was the case, I would have been far happier to compromise the position of the bishop and put the knight still on c3. Much, much more so than putting the knight on d2 and keeping the bishop on c4. Alright? And now we went here, e5, and then we took it, which, by the way, we had a really big conversation here about understanding pawn structures, because at this point I asked my student, do you recognize this structure? He goes, yes. I'm like, what is it? French. Okay. What is the biggest problem in the French for black? The French bishop. Oh, okay. Where is their French bishop now? On g4. Okay. What is our good bishop in the French structure? The light squared one. Oh, the one that we just traded off. Oh, I didn't think about it that way, was the answer. And I'm like, How else are we supposed to think about a structure when we actually fundamentally change the structure by pushing in and then trading bishop for knight? But we don't think about the structure. Ouchie. And so, obviously not everything can be blamed on bishop e3 and, this obsession with bishop takes, pawn takes. But there is a very compelling case here to be observed that after that move was made, every single move we played was at least suboptimal, right? Knight d2, not okay. e5, not okay. Bishop takes d5, super not okay. As a matter of fact, we went from plus 1.2 to minus 0.234. Actually, queen b3, after queen b4, it's minus 0.4. We dropped 1.6 centipones, or whatever that thing is called, in the space of these 6 moves. And so I feel that as long as we do not fix this problem, we don't get to address this. Also, this problem is a heap easier to solve as a coach or as an improver than the previous one that I described. And so I feel like it is always fundamentally important to spend a lot of time, or at least sufficient time, on the first mistake that you make in a game. And the reason for that is because usually the first mistake sets the tone for what's to come. Also, usually that is the mistake that derails the game and disallows it to continue in its natural way. And you must show your students what that game should have looked like if they hadn't made that mistake. It's very important because that's where you separate bad from good. And from there on out, usually it's very difficult to rejoin the main path. Now, what really sucks about this is that, in my opinion, it's a very powerful and very, very meaningful learning concept, message, call it whatever you like, theory. However, it is borderline impossible to do it well without a coach. And the reason for that is actually very profound. For starters, bishop e3 is the engine's second best move. Depending on what depth you are on, it actually switches over with knight c3 to the best. Right? So if you do this with the engine, not only are you not picking up on your completely faulty thinking, you go like, best move, awesome. Except if you play the best move with the worst idea behind it, that by default turns it into the worst move, right? Because you are going to continue, case in, just that is the ultimate case in point in case, with really bad moves. And that's the other thing, that the engine, when it gives you the numeric value of your moves, they don't know what you were thinking. A coach does, a good one does, or a good coach can at least ask, why did you do that? Because they might have an inkling that, yeah, you played a good move, but not because of the right idea behind it. And so, once again, a lot of valuable learning time and opportunity is lost. I don't have the answer for you as to, so how do I work on it if I don't have a coach? I honestly don't know. But nonetheless, I wanted to show you this because I think it's an incredibly powerful concept. And there are times, obviously, when the engine is going to point out to you your first mistake and you really need to work on that. But imagine looking at this game, thinking that this game went sideways because we played knight e1. No, it didn't. It totally didn't. That was already going downhill already. Big time. Right? So that's just a really, really powerful message in my opinion. I hope that you agree with it, guys. This is definitely one that I think I'm going to perhaps elaborate more on in later videos, but it has always been a focal point of my coaching, and I insist on making it a really, really big part of game analysis, because I do think that when you work on the first mistake, you are going to reshape the player, the student, in the most effective way. So without any addition to that, we are going to call it a day. We're still battling, but I'm winning. So thank you very much, guys, for checking this video out. Please don't forget to sub, to like, to thank me, or super thank me if you can. And I will be back with the next video. Thank goodness I actually pre-recorded that, so I get off the hook a little bit easier for the next one. Until then, take care. Love you all. That's right. Bye.